Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. I am Sonali, currently living in Canada. You'll get to know more about Gaurav and I in the upcoming videos, but first let's discuss the purpose of this channel. So, the aim of this channel is to share our experiences and our knowledge in the personal finance and investment space. Also, a disclaimer for all the viewers that whatever we share here is to the best of our knowledge and experiences. And instead of keeping it as a one way communication, we would love to hear about your views and experiences as well. So, without any further ado, let's start rolling. My first video on this channel is for all the immigrants who come and settle in a foreign land ready to face all the challenges with big aspirations in their heart. I myself, being an immigrant, will discuss with you a few things which we can do to secure ourselves financially in a foreign country and live a good life as well. First one here is savings. I cannot really emphasize more on the importance of savings. For simplicity purpose, we'll include money in bank accounts, our investments, emergency fund, all in savings. Very basic. Savings are very important. Everybody should save and everyone knows about it. But the dilemma is how much to save and how to save. Because saving does not mean that you do not spend anything on your necessities and your desires. Also, saving does not refer to anything which is left after spending. We need to create a balance between both of them. So, for this, I personally believe in two rules. So, the first rule of budgeting is 50-30-20 rule. This rule is quite famous, most of the people know about it. So, United States Senator Elizabeth Warren mentioned this rule in her book, All Your Worth. And under this rule, you can spend 50% of your after tax income on necessities, 30% of the income on desires, and then save 20% of the after tax income. For example, if your household income is $5,000 per month, you can spend $2,500 on necessities like rent, food, groceries, mortgages. Spend 20%, which is $1,500 on desires like eating outside, traveling, going out, and then save 20%, which is $1,000 every month. Now, for me, this rule is valid until your income reaches a certain level. For example, if you grow and with time your income reaches $20,000 per month, then if you spend $16,000 on your necessities and on your desires and save just $4,000, this does not make sense to me if you want to grow your wealth. So, after your income reaches a certain level, I believe in another rule, which is a kind of a new rule, which is 60-30-10 rule of budgeting. This rule emphasizes more on savings rather than discretionary spending. So in this rule, you're saving 60% of your income on savings, and you're spending 30% of the income on necessities and 10% on your desires. So for example, if we take the same household income of $20,000 per month, so you will be saving $12,000 per month. You will be spending $6,000 on your necessities and then $2,000 on your desires, which is fine if you want to grow your wealth. Now, benefits of this rule are it helps us create emergency funds quickly. It is very beneficial in our financial growth. It helps us achieve our financial targets very quickly. Most importantly, it helps us control our impulsive buying behavior. And it also helps us achieve our financial independence targets earlier. So now, but this rule is only for families which have a minimum income level, which should be above the average pay in the country, because we need to create a balance between our spendings, our present goals and future goals, right? So personally for us, we are neither in 60% nor in 20% bracket. We are somewhere in between, but we hope to achieve the 60% savings target soon in short term. In first point, we just covered how much to save. Now we'll try to decipher how to save. So my second point here is planning a budget. Once we decide what rule are we following, what amounts are we saving, in order to stick to it, we need to plan our expenses and plan our budget in advance. And believe me, it's not a complex process. I'll show you how we guys plan our budget. This table now represents two individuals contributing to the household income. The expenses are segregated into needs and wants. Needs here include your monthly rent, your hydro bill, tenant insurance, car EMI, car insurance, your gas expenses, groceries, monthly fixed expenses like mobile bill, your Wi-Fi bill. Wants here include going out, eating out, miscellaneous expenses like minor expenses like your Netflix subscription or any other unforeseen expenses incurred in the month. Then there is the section for discretionary spending, which is divided equally for both the individuals. They can spend this amount on absolutely anything as per their needs and preferences. In case this amount is not spent in the month, this can also be carried forward. Now, the leftover is savings, and in this example, out of the total household income of $10,000, 4,140 is our savings, which is 41% of our after tax take home salary. Now, this cell is right now highlighted in red. This will turn green as soon as this percentage hits our goal percentage, which is 60%. So, in case I update this amount to 60%, this will turn green, and anything above 60%, it will remain green. Now, the part which takes some effort is recording your expenses regularly. This is actually required to analyze all the expenses incurred and to see if the budget is actually correct or not. Gaurav and I note down our expenses every week and analyze all the expenses incurred in a month so that we can check if we have reached our budget or not. Now, to make it a little easier for you guys, I have a template which we use to record our expenses and to analyze them, which I'll show you in my Excel file. In the end of every week, we check our bank transactions and record each expense. So this file has column for the date, then we have expense type. There are just two options here, which is need or want. Then the next column is expense group. Here we have all the group heads which are there defined in our budget. Then there is another column for name where we can include additional details like which store did we go to. Now the next column is for amount, and the next two columns are week and month. These are required basically for the analysis, and these will be autofilled, so we do not need to enter anything here. Now please ignore 0 or the month of January for all the unfilled rows. Now as soon as we update the date here, these numbers will be updated. For example, if we record one expense for the new month, which is June, we'll mention the date of the transaction. Let's take 5th of June. Now we'll see what is our expense related to. For example, need. Now what the expense group is. For example, we take groceries. For additional detail, we can write the name of the store. We can write here anything, Costco. The amount, the actual expense amount. For example, $500. You'll see the week and month here will get auto-populated. Now, this is the way to record expenses, and every week we add more and more rows and we update this table. Once we record all these expenses, now we can move to analysis tab, and we can see as soon as we record our expense, we'll see this row for June month is getting updated here. Now, in case we breach our budget, for example, if we take groceries of $5,000 in June, and this will come under the section need, this will turn red because here we have our budget defined for needs and want. Now our needs should be less than 4,460. Expense on want should be less than $1,400, and total expense should not be more than 5,860. So now since the June month expense has breached the budget, it will turn red. Now in case we want to see the analysis, like which under which head we have breached the budget, we can go and check this pivot analysis table. We just need to refresh this and you will see June month groceries $5,000. So now we know that because of this our budget is breached and we need to do something about it. Another thing which we do is to transfer our savings as per budget from checking account to savings account as soon as we receive our salary. This is a great way to make sure that we are on track. The third most important thing is to build a good credit history. That means using credit card to spend, taking benefit of the leverage, buying major things on loan, and most importantly, paying all your credit card bills and mortgages on time. In a country like Canada, having a good credit history is very important. Without this credit history, even renting an apartment seems like an impossible task. I remember when we were new in Canada and we didn't have any credit history in the country, we faced multiple rejections while renting an apartment. Some owners even demand for 6 to 12 months of advance rent. That's why it's extremely important to build a good credit history. If you're paying your credit card bills on time, it's super easy. Just in case if you miss one payment, it will have an adverse impact on your credit history. That's why please always keep a reminder and always pay your bills on time. Next is understanding tax saving instruments. Countries like Canada have huge taxes. Ontario province in Canada has 13% HST. Also, Canadian federal government has introduced several tax saving instruments like TFSA, RRSP, and FHSA to minimize our tax liability. And we should utilize all these instruments to maximum extents. Hence, it becomes really important to understand and know taxes, and this could help us a lot financially. I'll talk about this in detail in our later videos, but just for reference, I have added an information slide here. Next step here is to build an emergency fund. We all know the current financial situation and job situation globally. In our home country, if worst comes to worst financially, we have our parents, our family, our friends as our safety net. But in a foreign country, where even remitting money is a complex and time taking process, it's a must to build an emergency fund covering at least 6 months of your expenses and mortgage payments. For me, saving for emergency fund is the first and foremost goal of savings. Once we have enough built for our emergency fund, we can then start to invest for our future goals. Now, here is an example for emergency fund. We all know when to use it in the circumstances of business losses, layoffs, any professional instability, personal emergencies. Sufficient time period should be at least 6 months. Here we have taken exactly 6 months. Now, how much to save depends on our monthly budget. Here we have taken the same example where the needs are 4,460, wants are $1,300, total is 5,760. If we multiply this with our time period, which is 6 months, the total expenses are coming out to be 34,560. That means we need to save at least this amount for our emergency fund to be comfortable in the foreign country. Once we save this amount, then we can start to invest for our future goals. Alright, so these are the first few things which every immigrant must do to secure themselves financially in a foreign country. I'll also link all the Excel files I showed in the description box below. Please like and share if you like my effort. Please comment if you find this helpful. I'll also create a part 2 of this series for the things which we can do after all these 5 points are done and we kind of feel settled in the new country. Please watch out for that video. Until then, bye and see you soon.